Also at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. And there in Palm Beach, his campaign is quite literally a campaign tonight in crisis. Earlier, he held an impromptu press conference, something his opponent, Kamala Harris, has not done since becoming the Democratic nominee now 18 days ago.
She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country.
Just hours later, after Trump attacked her intelligence, Kamala Harris spoke briefly, very briefly, with reporters before boarding Air Force Two. No surprise, with the engines already started, so it made for some very brief answers.
Well, I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it, and hope he shows up.
There's been a lot of questions about when you're going to sit down for your first interview since being the nominee.
I've talked to my team. I want us to get an interview scheduled before the end of the month.
To be clear, she could schedule an interview by the end of the day. But no, it could be 6 weeks from when she became the nominee to a meaningful interaction with the press, a chance to ask the Democratic nominee very basic and simple questions about her record and about her policies. That's her choice. Today, at his news conference that lasted almost an hour, all Trump really had to do was stand there. That's it. And show he's willing to face and answer tough questions. Just draw the comparison with Kamala Harris hiding from the press and him inviting the press in. That's it. But no, couldn't do that. He ended up comparing the crowd size of January 6th to Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech.
Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people, if not, we had more.
The NAACP was quick to object on the facts. On the left is Trump's rally. On the right is the day MLK spoke in Washington. You be the judge. Back to the bigger picture, and that's what they're dealing with at Mar-a-Lago. What Trump said this afternoon truly exposes his campaign's existential crisis and how Kamala Harris is now under his notoriously thin skin. And with that, a big welcome to the fairest show on television. And first tonight for Donald Trump, it is debate or bust. He effectively told us today debating Kamala Harris is his best and perhaps only hope of turning his campaign around. It's in free fall now. Trump thought he could run on Joe Biden sucks. It worked. As Donald Trump complained today, it worked too well. And now the poll numbers are showing what happens when Donald Trump runs against anybody else. The Wall Street Journal editorial board asked basic question: will Donald Trump blow another election? Karl Rove, the mastermind behind George W. Bush's campaign, described Trump's campaign as teetering. After pulling out of the debates, Trump now wants three: one on Fox, another that was previously scheduled with ABC on the 10th. That's the one Kamala Harris has agreed to show up to, and a final debate on NBC. So if it happens, the first debate on Fox is only 27 days away. The Cook Political Report, one of the most reliable election forecasting groups, just shifted Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, the Sun Belt, away from Donald Trump. They are now toss-ups. He beat Joe Biden handily in the polling in all three of those states. So Trump's problem isn't that he is behind. It's that there is nothing he can do to stop Harris's meteoric rise. The debates now are his only chance. We begin tonight with two men who know Donald Trump well. Anthony Scaramucci served as White House communications director under Trump. Corey Lewandowski managed Trump's 26th campaign. Gentlemen, great to have both of you here. Corey,
I miss you, Corey. I miss you.
How are you, Mooch?
There they are.
The boys are with the flag.
The boys are back together. Corey, start with you. Nobody probably knows Donald Trump better than you do in some ways politically. Nobody knows how to manipulate the media better than Donald Trump does, or how the media is going to react to something. So he's got every cable network carrying his news conference. Everyone. All across the board. They're listening. He has the moral high ground. He is the guy talking to the press. Kamala Harris is not. We pointed that out, I think, every day we've done a show since she has been the nominee. And he chooses, not because he was asked a question, but chooses to compare crowd sizes on January 6th to MLK's speech and brings up January 6th. He knows that everybody in the media, hook, line, and sinker, is going to go, and all they're going to talk about is that soundbite. So why'd he do it?
Because Leland, he wants to control the media narrative, and the old axiom of, all press is good press as long as they spell your name right is what Donald Trump has lived and survived by for 40 years. So no one is talking about the fact that, whatever happened last week happened. They're now talking about Donald Trump again. He had the opportunity to get every national media outlet to come to his home, Mar-a-Lago, to hold a 1-hour press conference. That probably could have been done in 15 minutes. But he just went on to talk about things. And now every network, every major cable outlet is going to talk about Donald Trump's press conference. And he has taken back what Kamala Harris had taken away from him, which is the spotlight in this presidential campaign.
All right. Reasonable explanation. We'll see whether or not it changes any minds. Anthony, when you were the communications director at the White House, you were not there for 18 days. But if you had been, and in those 18 days, Donald Trump did not do a single meaningful interaction with the press, and then went on to say, well, I might, but it could be another couple of weeks until I'm going to talk to anybody. What would the press reaction be?
Well, I don't necessarily know what the press reaction would be, but I would have lasted a lot longer. I think Corey knows that. I would have. If he didn't talk to the press, I could have maybe made it 6 months, right, Corey? I don't know, but here's the thing, Leland. I would like to hear what Corey says about this because he knows him very well. He's off message a little bit. When Trump is beating the drum perfectly, you can see it. He was beating the drum going into, unfortunately, the ghastly and tragic assassination attempt. He recovered a little bit at the convention, but frankly, in fairness to him, I think he was dazed by the assassination attempt. And then this shook his world, Kamala Harris coming in and them having to redo their playbook. And so he hasn't found his message 100% yet. And I think today was a reset for him. And Corey knows him well. My guess is he went to his staff and said, let me show you how it's done. I'm going to go out and speak to the staff, the press. She's not willing to do that. And it got a little unhinged, frankly, in my opinion. He would have been better served if he was a little subtler.
Does Trump still have his fastball, the 2016 fastball?
I think he does.
He does.
Or does Corey?
Leland, it's different. It's different now. Okay, look, you've got a guy who's been in the league a long time. He was a rookie when he came in. And, he won the Super Bowl MVP all in the first time. And that's unheard of, okay? And now he's a much different candidate than he was 8 years ago. And it's a much different electorate. And by the way, this is a much different race than it has been for the last year. Running against Kamala Harris and the governor of Minnesota, Walz, is a very different race than running against Joe Biden. And what we're seeing now is the honeymoon period for Kamala Harris. It's been 3 weeks since we've closed the Republican convention. And at that time, Leland, most people said it was the most united they've ever seen the Republican Party. Now what people are saying is the campaign is off the rails. There's no plan. We're in free fall. Okay. Kamala Harris has had a good run. She raised a lot of money so far, but she hasn't sat down for a question. And I don't believe the American people actually know how liberal she truly is.
I'm going to say, I'm about to get married. I hope my honeymoon lasts 3 weeks. That would be wonderful. I don't know if these fine folks will give me that much time off, but I'll put in for it. It's a heck of a honeymoon, right? This is Donald Trump talking about the governor of Minnesota today. Take a listen.
She picked a radical left man that is, he's got things done that he has positions that are just it's not even possible to believe that they exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of.
Not exactly a laser-focused, thought-out attack, Anthony. And I think we can reasonably agree, if this is an election about do you want 4 more years of Joe Biden's policies that will be brought on by Joe Biden's vice president, Donald Trump wins. If this is a referendum between hope and change, or hope and freedom, which is the new version, freedom and joy, I guess. Hope was Obama. I get them confused sometimes. if this is about freedom and joy versus crowd size on January 6th, Donald Trump loses.
Yeah, I think the vice president has to do a little bit more. I think she needs a narrative. I think if it's just a choice election between him and her, I think that's a tough one, frankly, for her. That's like the Kerry Bush election. But if she brings a narrative, she explains what she wants to do, and it's a positive centrist narrative, I think she can beat him. But it's still President Trump's race to lose. Even though the polls look very close, it's his race to lose. And so he's flailing right now, but he's a political beast. He's not going to flail forever. So she's got to get ready for that. And, this is a contrary view. I think what she's doing by avoiding the press right now is a good idea. She needs more time to digest this intensity, this spotlight, before she takes on the press. And I think it's a good idea. And it shows a lot of discipline despite the criticism.
Yeah, Corey, though there hasn't really been a lot of criticism, right? This is a almost incredibly appeasing press corps that seems to be following Kamala Harris around and allowing this.
Look, she's running a smart campaign from her perspective, not answering questions, not being stuck with responses that she doesn't know what the media is going to ask her. It worked for Joe Biden 4 years ago. It's worked for 18 days. And her answer to the tarmac is, I'd like to do a sit-down interview by the end of the month. Well, today is like the 8th or the 9th or it's 20 more days before she does a sit-down interview. Boy, that'd be amazing if you can spend a whole month and never talk to the media. But where is the media? Where is the press corps demanding that? Joe Biden literally sat down for an interview this weekend with another media outlet, which, is astonishing to me that he could actually conduct an interview. But more than that, he did it more than Kamala Harris did. So there should be a call for her and her vice presidential nominee to sit down and answer tough questions.
All right. We have a mashup that we call it a mashup. We sort of put together a little bit of what Donald Trump said today and a little bit of what Kamala Harris said today. Take a listen.
Our campaign is about saying we trust